We're just a couple of weeks to the start of Africa's biggest football fiesta, the AFCON 2025, going down in Morocco. The Super Eagles list was released just a couple of days ago, and we saw some new faces. But the biggest talking point from that list is the retirement of the captain of the side, William Troost Ekong. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolis. Excited to be here once again. We have a lot to unpack from the local scene and, of course, to the foreign scene, where Mohammed Salah released the bomb. Yes, we'll talk about that. Not forgetting the world of Formula One, where Lando Norris won his first drivers' championship. Don't forget, we'll wrap up the show with the Tipsters Corner, where we'll give you tips going into the games coming up this weekend. Once again, it's your favorite show, Sports Pizza. I do this in collaboration with my homeboy Bankole Oladuni. Before I bring him on board, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll delve straight into all that we have in store for you. Welcome back from that short break, Sports Pizza. A pleasure always having you in the studio. Banky, how you doing?
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here always, Edwin.
Yeah.
We are all looking forward to the AFCON.
Yeah.
We're all looking forward to watching the Super Eagles probably compensate for their absence at the
World Cup.
It was quite sad, seeing the draws and seeing the possible group that the Super Eagles might be in, and seeing South Africa there without Nigeria, it's quite a shame. But hopefully we'll get to do better at the AFCON with Eric Chell and the boys.
Talking about the AFCON, we saw the players invited by Eric Chell. Of course, I'm sure the NFF Technical Committee had an input, but for me, I felt inviting that large amount of players is just unnecessary. We just, I think, 5-6 days of camping before the start. But which names stuck out for you? Who are you expecting there? Do you think it was same of the same? Your general thought about
I think for the
invited?
very first time in a long time, the Super Eagles list was very underwhelming. And this is a consistent thing that we've seen.
Well, the same players you expected.
Yeah,
to be
so once in a while, I think for the before, maybe during Genero era or before Genero era or just a bit after, you look at the list for every major tournament or even something as simple as qualifiers. You always have arguments, you always have debates as to who could have made the list. Right now, you look at a list of 54 players, and you can't think of anybody who is a guaranteed shoe, who should be. You can't make a case for anybody, honestly.
I think you can.
You can't make a case for anybody.
If you do,
I think the
if you strip it down to 27, if they had done 27, maybe this conversation
so here's the thing.
Would have been different.
If you had done 27, can you honestly say that from that 27 you would have anybody who should be there that shouldn't be there? You don't have any players who would be missing out from the list right now that everybody would.
That's what I'm saying. So is the entire there were no.
I agree with you. The entire 54 list was performative at best. I think it was just to show that look at the amount of players we've scouted. Look at what we are doing our jobs. I thought it was unnecessary. The AFCON is just a couple of days away. So you now bring in 54. It actually shows that you're not very good at your job. That's what it means. So if you think that is going to be performative in a good way, I'm sorry to break it to you, it is not. But you look at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you look at the amount of talents that we have right now. The Super Eagles list is not sparking any conversation, is not sparking any debate. Whoever it is that you are seeing, you see Bright Osai Samuel, and you cannot guarantee say, somebody else should be there replacing him.
So you look at the midfield. It speaks more of the depth of talent than the players available.
Yes, I'm not blaming the players available. I'm not. It is not their fault that we honestly, for the lack of a better word, we have rubbish players generally in the pool. You look at the players available; they are the best of the best, and that says a lot about where we are. In terms of being a footballing nation, you don't. Like I said, I don't want to point out names, but you look at the likes of Bright Osai Samuel, you look at Chidozie Awazim, you look at Moses Simon, you look at all of these guys, and they have not been the best players for Super Eagles of Nigeria. And then you ask yourself, who are the replacements? Who are the guys that should be going there?
That's a conversation for another day.
Exactly. We don't have.
You look at the cadet teams, under 17, under 20, nothing inspiring. So
we got embarrassed at the under 17 World Cup. We got embarrassed.
No, we didn't qualify for under 17.
We got embarrassed at the under 20 World Cup. Even the qualifiers of the under 17, we got embarrassed for the qualifiers of the under 17 World Cup. We didn't make it past the waffle stage. So to show you how bad it has been, and most of the time, the likes of Victor Osimhen, the likes of Samuel Chukwueze, Kelechi Iheanacho, these are guys who excited us through the cadet level. These are guys who were looking forward to having, in the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the next couple of years. But now, you can't say the same thing for any player.
Let's talk about Trust Ekong. Announced his retirement out of the blue, caught almost everyone unawares. But do you agree with the opinion that he was forced to retire, seeing that he led that protest during the World Cup qualifiers? Or do you think this is a guy who has given his all, 83 caps, and he felt like this was the right moment to hang my boots with the national team?
I'm not going to buy into the whole speculation about I was forced to retire. I think I would only analyze the things I know, and from the things I know, this is just pure footballing reason. Before the whole debacle, it has shown that he was not a guaranteed starter. He was already on the bench. The game he started against South Africa, he was complicit, for the goal. Physically, has also declined. In club football, also, he has not looked like his best. Even though I think that even when he was younger, he was not always the best of defenders in his club side, but he was still doing a job for us. But now I don't think he's good enough to do that anymore. I think age has caught up to him. I don't want to believe it is because of any off the field issue. You look at Trust Ekong, and this is a man who I think understands the concept of living when the time is right.
Yeah.
It's not about waiting until you become irrelevant, until you become a prayer warrior in the boss. According to some people for a certain captain. But you look at Trust Ekong, and I appreciate all he has done for Nigeria. He has been a stalwart. He heralded a certain era for us, the Oyibo World era. That got us to the World Cup in 2018. That got us bronze. At the AFCON. That also got us to the finals. In Cote d'Ivoire. So he has done a lot for Nigeria. But yeah, I think is him retiring from the Super Eagles is down to footballing reasons, not because he led the protest.
All right, it's all about the African Cup of Nations going down in Morocco. Starts on the 21st of December, and you expect the very best of coverage on Sports Pizza. Away from African football, let's go to the European team, Bankole. We're starting at Anfield, the big one, Mohammed Salah. Hey, you guys are blaming me. Some people at the club want me to leave. You guys are throwing me under the bus. It came as a shocker because if you saw the interview, there was a Liverpool representative just standing behind Mohammed Salah, and for every sentence Mohammed Salah uttered, you could see the disbelief on the guy's face. It was like, nah, man, you shouldn't be saying this. Generally, what's your take? Because it has divided opinion on the social space and even amongst Liverpool fans.
So for me, I think it's quite simple. I think this is highly arrogant from Salah, and I think it's selfish, for a player. Yes, he has done a lot for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Him coming out and saying he doesn't deserve to be benched. He has earned his rights. He does not have to prove anything to anyone. Actually, he does. Liverpool have lost what, 7 of their last 10 games, or a couple of number of games now, and he has been the focal point of that attack. And the thing that pisses me off, I don't necessarily have a problem with him coming out to the media to talk. I don't necessarily have a problem with him coming to talk about who is throwing who under the bus. My problem is from the very first time when Liverpool lost to Crystal Palace down to the victory against West Ham, the only player, win or lose, who have come to the media, who have given an explanation as to what is going on is Virgil van Dijk.
And he's the captain on the side.
And he's the captain on one of the leaders of the side that you would expect Mohamed Salah to also be.
But he's the captain of the side. He's the spokesman for the team.
No. Look, I expect that if you're having a bad run, I expect the leaders of the club side, and you don't have much at Liverpool anymore. You only have Virgil van Dijk and Salah.
You know the problem? Sometimes when you have too many voices, you could sometimes have the press misconstrue their words. Do you know why I don't? There's also the possibility that there's an agreement, because don't forget, Virgil van Dijk said they always have meetings. Maybe
Edwin. Do you know why I don't buy into that?
The captain of the
side. Do you know why I don't buy into that? Do you know why I don't buy into that? Because last season, when he was angling for a contract, every week, every match, you saw Mohamed Salah in front of the mic.
So that's a different conversation.
No. Edwin, it is not. So here's the thing. Look. My problem with Salah is his timing.
Wait, relax.
Like I said, I don't care about what you said. My problem is you picking after you've been benched to come out and talk. So come out and throw the manager under the bus. Come out and say stuff about you not having a relationship anymore with the manager because he benched you while you are not playing well. He didn't bench you.
Is Salah the reason Liverpool have been bad?
The question is Salah one of the reasons Liverpool have been bad?
So he's one of the reasons.
Exactly.
Now, how about others who have been bad?
So the manager can bench 11 players. He can only determine how to make things right. And if he deems it fit that Salah, who also has been a problem, should go to the bench, there should be no fuss about it. And besides, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He only started benching Salah 3 games ago. This whole wrath has been going on since the game against Crystal Palace. The loss to Crystal Palace. Started in the loss to Crystal Palace, started in the loss to Chelsea, started in the loss to Man United. And how many goals has he scored from that Crystal Palace loss down to the last time?
I'm not trying to hold forth for Mohammed Salah, but I think if you bench Salah over 3 games, and in those 3 games you didn't get positive results or your form didn't particularly change, now you leave yourself vulnerable to criticism, because this is a guy who last season was your top scorer, not just in the club but in the league, had the most assists, was majorly the reason why you won the league title. Now, if you think that this guy is the problem of the team or one of the problems of the team and you bench him, now you ought to back your selection with results. Now, if results are not coming, you leave yourself to criticism. And the problem is it is not only Salah. The only point I have, or where I can maybe back on the slot, is that the likes of Virgil van Dijk or Konate, who have been, if not more terrible than Mohamed Salah, don't have replacements. Exactly
what I was trying to say. Also, you look at Virgil van Dijk and Konate, they've been as dreadful as anybody.
More dreadful
the midfield has also been very dreadful.
Yeah.
But are they bodies? The only place you can make a change is up front. The only place where you have the bodies to make a change, even Federico Chiesa, who has been unfairly treated, Ekitike, who has been performing well and went to the bench for Isak, did not come outside to say things like this. You talk about last season it was this, last season.
Salah has a bigger name in Liverpool than Ekitike.
There's a reason why you are referencing last season, because this season has been nothing but dreadful.
I agree.
This season, look, a manager, whatever it is that Arne Slot is doing, if he fails to get to the top 4, nobody would reference last season for him. He will get sacked. So whatever it is that he's doing, he's trying to get results for this season. So Salah, like I said, I don't care about your comments. My problem is with the timing. You last season, when you were angry for a contract extension, you came out every single weekend. You were talking every single match, be it the Premier League, the Champions League, the Carabao Cup. It took every opportunity to talk to the media. This is in the moment it started going wrong. We've not seen Salah. The only person who faced criticism, Virgil van Dijk. Look. Virgil van Dijk was in the list.
With your, I think it's apples and oranges.
No, I don't think so. Let me explain it.
Okay.
Like I said, there are leaders in this Liverpool team. There are few, and I expect Virgil van Dijk and Salah to be the 2 leaders.
Okay.
The wrath has been going on for a long time.
Okay.
So you'd expect explanation. The Premier League is not like the German Bundesliga or other leagues where you have sporting directors also come out to do press conference. It is the managers and the players who come out and talk.
Okay.
So you've had Arne Slot do his post and pre-match press conferences. You've had Virgil van Dijk come out to give explanation. You've had Virgil van Dijk come out to people who have confronted him several times. He had a confrontation with Wayne Rooney. You've had, and I think to a certain extent, Salah has even gone under the radar a bit. The criticism Van Dijk has gotten, the criticism Florent has gotten, the criticism Isak has gotten, is nowhere close to what he has gotten. He still has the credit from last season, and yet the moment he got benched, you knew what a microphone was.
Okay, so
that is my issue.
So last season, it was a personal issue, not a club or team issue. His contract situation. You don't expect.
I disagree. Though.
Relax now. You don't expect Virgil van Dijk to come out to the press and say, "Oh, Liverpool give Salah a new contract." You don't expect Alisson or Robertson to come out and say, "Give him." It was on him. It was personal. So now using that to as a stick to beat him for this season, I think it's different scenarios now. For this season, like I said, they've had series of meetings. Virgil van Dijk has said, we as players, we've sat down and we've spoken about this, and we need to make changes. Maybe, just how about a possibility that the players agreed? Relax. A possibility that the players agree that, okay, you are the captain, you are our spokesman.
I disagree.
That's a possibility. You cannot completely rule it out.
I disagree with that. And the fact, the thing about last season, it was a personal issue for Salah, but it had to do with the club. The same Liverpool team that we are talking about.
Yeah, today. But Liverpool. Yeah.
And you can also say behind the scenes, he had meetings with Liverpool.
Was he affecting performance on the field?
And now this season, the whole issue is not even about. It's about speaking to the media. I'm not even talking about what he's saying to the media. It's about speaking to the media. You've had poor performances all through the season. The team has been dreadful all through, absolutely garbage. And yet, the only time you deemed it fit to look at the microphone and talk was when you got benched.
All right, guys, we can go on and on and on and on, but hey, time will not permit us. Leave a comment in our social media platforms. Let us know, do you think Mohammed Salah was within his right to come out and rant to the press about how he's being treated by Liverpool and, of course, Arne Slot? Let us know. At this point, we'll go on a short break. When we return, there's more on the show. Sports Pizza, don't go nowhere. Welcome back. It's time for the second half of your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. Edwin and Bankole is still on set. Banky, quickly, let's go to Spain, where Real Madrid once again suffered a not humiliating, maybe an embarrassing loss at home to Celta Vigo. But the biggest talking point from that game was Xabi Alonso's comment about them being better with 10 men. He saw a lot of running, a lot of fighting. That what we saw, or what he saw when they were 11. Is that a criticism of his players? And if it's a criticism of his players, does it further show how alienated he is with his players when it comes to relationship and his inability to hammer home his ideas?
Yeah, I think so. I think you look at Madrid this season, and I think it's not down to ability, it's not down to tactics or whatever it is. I think it's just down to will, just down to players who are not ready to run, players who are not ready to walk. So no matter, like I've always said, these intangibles are some of the most important things in football. No matter your formation, be 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 4-3-3, if you don't have players who are ready to do the dirty work for you, if you don't have the water carriers, you know, in your team, then there's no point in there's no there's no philosophy or any tactics that would actually have its application on the field of play. You know, you look at Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham, and what these guys are strolling, you know, on the field of play. They pick and choose the time they want to run. They pick and choose, you know, the game, you know, they want to bring their intensity. And for Xabi Alonso, he's a manager who, for his short career, is used, you know, to players respecting him. He's used to this certain adulation, you know, from players. At Bayern Leverkusen, he was probably still one of the best players, even as a manager. But for Real Madrid, it's a totally different case. So as a manager, you have to evolve. And the fact that he's also a little bit inexperienced might not also help his case here. He doesn't know, you know, the man management side to things. Although even a lot of managers with a lot of experience still struggle, you know, with that man management side of things. Let's not talk of a green on, you know, like Xabi Alonso. So I think for a very long time it's going to be very difficult for him unless he finds a way to, you know, start to relate to these players, finds a way to get them to do his bidding, or perhaps just find a system around, you know, their inability to work. So I think for Xabi Alonso, it's probably just a matter of time for him.
Definitely, Xabi Alonso has his work cut out this season, but someone who smiled home this weekend was Lando Norris. We talked about Max Verstappen extending his Drivers' Championship to 5 consecutive wins, but we knew that McLaren were going to put up a fight, and the fact that there was a 12-point gap between him, that's Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen going into the final race meant that he needed to finish on the podium to win his first title, and he did that. I saw videos of him as a young kid having the ambition to win the title, and he has achieved that. What a season he's had.
Absolutely. A season where I don't think he would have expected, to be in this position. A season where everybody went into the season expecting another, dominant performance from Max Verstappen. But when you have a very good car, it will give you a chance, especially when you have a semblance of ideas as to what you are doing. Although at some point it felt like the title was way beyond him with Oscar Piastri, starting off like a house on fire. But you can talk about if McLaren did well, did right by Oscar Piastri. You can talk about if, their tactics might have been better and in supporting Oscar Piastri. But you cannot deny the fact that Lando Norris worked for this. You cannot deny the fact that he stuck in and he came out with the championship. He came out, swinging, and whatever talk about mentality, whatever talk about, not having the drive, forgive the pun, whatever talk about, not having that mindset, you can't say that for Lando Norris. Competing against one of the best drivers, in the circuit in Max Verstappen, ensuring going head to head, with him, that amount of pressure, can make anybody crack. But look at him at the end of the day, he's the world champion. Even though I still find it difficult to, the whole world champion, qualification. But yeah, he is the world champion, and hopefully McLaren will build on this, going into next season.
All right, talking about world champion, we also had the World Cup draws last week, and of course, you know what to expect from the Americans: paparazzi, glitz and glamour. President Donald Trump was on stage. He was giving an award.
The Peace Award.
Peace Award. Gianni Infantino grinning from ear to ear. We had royalty of football in the house in Philadelphia. We saw the draws. Good one, but not so good because Nigeria will not be at the World Cup. The World Cup takes place next year, summer 2026. 3 countries hosting: United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. I'm looking forward to it, even though the Super Eagles will not be there. But it is what it is. Let's go on a break. We'll give you a video for the week. When we return, wrap up the show with the Tipsters Corner. Welcome back. It's time for the Tipsters Corner, and Bankole, we have 2 games this weekend, one from the Italian Serie A, one from the English Premier League. We have Crystal Palace versus Manchester City and Roma versus Como.
Yeah, for Crystal Palace City, Palace are a team who have always struggled, after European obligation, and they will be having European obligation. So I think it's going to be difficult for them. Against a City team who are looking like they're improving gradually. Look at Ryan Sheik, look at Phil Foden back to his best. Even though Erling Haaland has not been amongst the ghosts recently, but other players are starting to chime in. Unlike the start of the season where it was Haaland and then own goals. But yeah, I think City should be able to nick one out here. I think at least 8 points for City should happen in this game. A double chance for City to score over 1.5 also might be okay. Either half, win either half for City seems like something that you can also bank on. For Roma against Como, my problem with Como is they don't tend to adapt to their opponents. They stick to one particular style, and you saw that when Inter trashed them for 4 the other time. So I think for Roma, I think it's also going to be the same thing. I don't think they have what it takes to go head to head with a team like Roma, who has started like a house on fire also this season. But so I think a Roma double chance, a Roma 1-up also might be something you might want to put in your hacker. Over 1.5 also is going to look very, very attractive for that game. Say Roma second half 0.5 also seems like something that you can bank on. Or the corners market 7.5, 8.5 over for corners, and both teams are quite good in getting corners, and I think they have the highest number of corners in the Serie A this season. So yeah, that's something you can also add to your hacker to get full value for money.
All right, remember, we are not responsible for any bet loss. We will give you expert analysis on the potential or possible outcomes of these games, and you have to be 18 years and above. That is according to the law. This is where we draw curtains on the show. I'm sure you had an exciting time with us. We'll be back same time next week. Banky, always a pleasure having you on set.
It's always good to be here, Edwin. And from me to our audience, have yourself a lovely, lovely weekend.
And from me, Edwin Onyebole, have a fantastic sporting weekend. God bless you.